What's going on, y'all? Here's how I plan to make $100,000 in 2025, right? And no, this is not gonna be some fluffed out answer. Like, this is specifically how I'm going to hit 100K in 2025, right? And then you can model this for whatever number you have, whether it's 25,000, maybe 50,000, maybe 500,000, right? But this model that I'm gonna use and show you guys in this video today is you can use it for yourself as well, right? And I know some people are probably thinking like, is it actually realistic to hit $100,000 trading futures in the market? Yes, the answer is yes, you can actually do it. However, there are steps that you need to go through in order to actually hit that number. So in this video, by the end of the video, you will know how to actually hit the $100,000, what it takes to actually get there, and then also some roadblocks and hurdles you might have to go over. But once you get over those hurdles, you'll be at that 100K mark, right? So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So here's how I plan on hitting 100K trading futures in 2025. So there's a few things that we need to do, right? So we're going to talk about what does 100K look like in trading futures, how much would I need to make per quarter, per month, and week in order to hit that goal, how much would I need in my account to hit those numbers, right? And how long should it take me to scale the account, right? So what trading strategy I'll be using to also do that. I will also be talking about that as well at the end of the video, right? So first off, is it realistic? Yes. Is it easy? No. I'm not going to make this video saying this is going to be the easiest thing ever, like anybody can just make 100K. No, not everybody can make 100K trading in the market, but I'm showing you guys in this video what it takes to actually get there and what I'm doing for myself, right? So is it realistic? Yes. If you follow the steps that I talk about in this video, yes. Is it going to be easy? No, nothing in life is easy, like especially hitting 100K in the market, right? It's not easy, but it is realistic, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in this video, right? So the next thing we're going to talk about is the mathematics on it. So I actually upped the numbers a little bit just so I can make it a little bit even. I didn't want to have decimals and threes and all that stuff. So let's just say it's 108K a year, right? Per quarter, I need to make $25,200 every single quarter in order to make this in a year. And then every month, that's $8,400 a month. Every week, that's $2,100 a week. And then every day, I have to average $420 a day. Mind you, these are all just averages. So I have to average $8,400 a month, right? So one month I might make $10,000. Next month I might make $6,000, right? So that averages out across those 2 months to about $8,000. So we're taking the average that I didn't make for every single one of these. So $420 a day on average, $2,100 a week on average to hit these numbers, right? So this is what the math looks like in order to hit this big goal. So if we break it all the way down, right, all I have to technically do is average $420 a day and $2,100 a week in order to hit these numbers, right? So let's look at what that looks like trading ES specifically, right? ES is the S&P 500 futures, right? So I'm going to talk about two very important things going into this, right? Margin and points, right? So margin is how much you need in your trading account in order to trade one ES contract. So this is how you'll know how much you actually need in your account to make some of these numbers that we just talked about over here, right? And remember these numbers, right? So to make 100K in a year, that's 25K in a quarter, $8,400 in a month, $2,100 in a week, $420 in a day, right? So margin is how much you need to trade one ES contract. The point, if you ever see point, right, that just think about dollar, right? So if ES goes from, for example, 5,000 to 5,001, it moved up $1, quote unquote, or it moved up 1 point, right? So just remember that in your head. So I have an example right here. So to buy one ES contract, right, and I pulled these from the website, this is the margin that you need. It requires $500 to enter one ES contract, meaning you need to have at least $500 in your account in order to enter one ES contract, right? And then the value per point, meaning how much you make or lose per point that this moves for each contract, is $50. So I'll give you an example for both, right? So if I buy one ES contract at $5,000, right? And then the price of ES goes up from 5,000 to 5,001. It goes up 1 point, right? That means that I'm up $50 on the trade, right? So I'm making $50 per point, right? So the margin needed to enter one ES contract in this example is around $500, right? Now, I'm gonna give you another example. To buy 10 ES contracts, right, at 5,000, let's say the ES is at $5,000, right? If the price of ES goes up to 5,001, it goes up 1 point. That means that I'm up $500. Why? Because I make $50 per point and I have 10 contracts. So So if I have 10 contracts, multiply by 50 points that I make every single time it goes up or down, that means that I'm making or losing $500 per point. So if I buy 10 ES contracts and it goes up, then I make money every point it goes up. If it goes down, then that means I'm losing that much money per point that it goes down, right? So I hope that makes sense. So this is just two examples of how margin and points work in terms of profit, breaking this down for ES specifically, right? So now let's give an example using an actual chart, right? So this is a chart of ES, right? So if you see it in the top right corner, this is ES on the 15-minute time frame, right? And this is January. This is taking January, right? So this was from December 31st's price action, right? So let's say you were taking this trade on the 15-minute time frame, right? I'm not even going to get into the strategy and all that other stuff right now. I'm just going to talk specifically on just like what it looks like to enter this trade, right? Or enter a trade and make money, right? So if you enter, let's just say up here, right, around 59.63 or something like that, right? And then you exit a trade down here, right? That means that you took this trade for 28.75 points, right? So let's just round it up to 29 points. So from here to all the way down here, if you sold it here and bought it back here, that's 29 points, right? You see that this is what it looks like on a chart. Now, a strategy will tell you, all right, bet. Once it breaks, I guess, this low or something like that, then you enter this trade to the downside for sells. And then once it reverses back up, then you exit, right? But I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just showing you guys what it looks like points-wise, right? So this is the trade example. I sell one ES contract, right? I sell one ES contract, right? Up here. Then I buy that same ES contract back at a lower price, right? The difference between where I sell it and where I buy it back is 28.75 points. Now, let's break this down using ES like we talked about. I make $50 per point for every point that ES moves in my favor or against me, right? I make $50 per point, and I'll show you over here. It's $50 per point, right? So since I know I make $50 per point, if this thing moves 28.75 points, and this took about, if you entered here around 10 a.m., but like 10:15, and then you exited around here around 12:30, 12:45. So that's about an hour or two that you're entering this trade for and making this money. So like you can make $1,400, right, in 2 hours. So I don't know about y'all, but like I don't know like what jobs are paying $1,400 in 2 hours, but I mean that'd be a good job. You know what I'm saying? So right here, if you had one ES contract, $50 per point times 28.75 move that you let the price go to, you make $1,400 and $37.50, right? That's how much profit you make on this trade, right? And you can do the math yourself, right? If I go on your calculator app, type in how much you make per point that it goes in your favor. Remember, I'm selling it. So if I buy something for $1 and I sell it for 10, I make $9 in profit. Now, if I sell something for $10 and I buy it back for $1, I still make $9 in profit, right? This is the same thing for here. So if I sell ES at whatever price that it is and it drops 28.75 points, I multiply 28.75 times how much it moved, how much I make per point, which is $50. And you see the answer is still, I don't know if it's going to refresh, 14.37.5, right? So that's the math on what it looks like. So now, if you find a strategy where you can hit, like you can get on a big enough time frame and you let the trade play out, you make 28 points, 30 points, 15 points, 20 points, whatever, 50 points, whatever the points is, right? This is what the math looks like in terms of how much you make on that trade. Now, in terms of scaling, right? So when you're starting out, like on the lower amounts, like, remember, it took, in order to hit this trade right here, you needed one ES contract. What is the margin needed in your account? You need about $500, right? So let's just say you had about $1,000 or $1,500 in your account, right? You can take this trade, probably risk what? If you're making 28.75 points, you're probably risking like a little bit right above here or here. So maybe you're risking $200 or $250 or something like that to hit this $1,400 trade, right? That is the power of futures. You don't have to risk. So if you have $1,500 in your account or $1,000, you're risking about $100, $200 to make $1,400 on one trade. And I'm showing you, like, this is not going to be every single trade that you take. Every single trade is not going to move 28 points. Sometimes it might move even more than that. You might make 40 points or 50 points. But sometimes you might only catch a trade for 5 points, 10 points. It depends on the strategy and depends on how long you want to hold the trade for, right? But this is just an example of what that looks like. So when you have one ES contract, the margin required to enter one ES contract is $500. Meaning, if you have $501 in your account, you can technically get into this trade. Now, you will have to risk like the same thing, like you'll still be risking about $100 or $200 or maybe even $300 to make $1,400 on this trade, but the potential is still there. So I recommend if you're taking a trade of this size, or you're gonna risk a certain, like a couple $100 or something like that, have about $1,000 or $1,500 in your account, right? And if you don't want to risk this much on this trade, you can just drop to a smaller contract. Instead of trading ES, you trade micro ES. And I've talked about that on a previous video. Micro ES is literally just 10 times smaller than this. So if you go over here to the margin for ES, micro ES literally just cut this by 10. So instead of the margin being $500, the margin required to enter one MES contract, micro ES contract, is $50. And then the profit you make per point, instead of $50, cut that in half, right? You go to $5 per point. So just divide everything by 10 for both of these, and that's what MES is. That allows you to trade with less and trade at like a much smaller amount. You're risking less, but you're also profiting less too. So that way you start at a lower point and then you scale and build your way up, right? So that's just an example of what that looks like. Now, to scale with futures, you don't have to necessarily take a different trade or different strategy. You use the same strategy in that same trade that we talked about. If you enter it here, instead of with one contract, you enter the trade with two contracts, this is what that math looks like. So if you sell two ES contracts and then you buy two ES contracts back, meaning the margin required to enter this trade is $1,000, right? Meaning you need to have at least $1,000 in your account to trade this, right? That means that you make $50 per point times 28.75 move. By the way, it's by two ES contracts. So each ES contract makes $50 per point, 50 times 2, I make $100 per point. So $100 per point times the 28.75 move, that means I make $2,875 on that trade. That's a big jump from $1,400. I just doubled how much I made. And I didn't have to double how much work I have to do. With jobs and stuff like that, I have to work harder typically, or work longer hours or more time in order to do that. With trading, it's all I have to do is increase how many contracts I have. Now, I'll talk about like what the caveat to that is a little bit later, but all I have to do is just risk a little bit more, and then I'll be able to get this type of trade, right? I have to risk more, but also be able to make more. And this is where it takes you gradually scaling your account, right? So now the same trade with more contracts equals more money. So again, if I get 4 ES contracts, the margin required to get into 4 ES contracts is $2,000. Meaning if you have, let's say, for example, you have $3,000, $4,000 in your account, you can get 4 ES contracts and have a little bit of wiggle room to risk on this trade. So you might be risking, let's just say, $500, $700, maybe $1,000 on this trade to make $5,700 on a trade right here. If you have 8 ES contracts, you can make $11,500 profit in one trade. I'm not even lying. Do the math. 8 ES contracts. The margin for each ES contract is $500. So 8 times 500 is $4,000 of margin. That doesn't mean you have to risk $4,000. That just means that required to get into this trade, the requirement to get into this one trade right here with 8 ES contracts is $4,000. Now, that means also that every dollar it moves in your favor, you're making $400, but every dollar it moves against you, you're losing $400. So for example, if your stop loss was 5 points, right, and you're making $400, it's $400 per point, right? $400 like times 5 points against you, that means you're risking or losing $2,000. So if your stop loss, for example, meaning you're going to exit the trade at 4 points and you're making or losing $400 per point, that means you're going to risk about $1,600. Now, that doesn't mean do that in the beginning. That means do that, like risk that much when you're willing to do that, when you're capable of doing that, when you have the ability to do that. If you don't have enough to do that, then don't do that right now. Just gradually scale your way up to that point. But your account will be at a point where you can risk more, and that is okay. You just have to build up the mental fortitude and the financial fortitude to be able to do that, right? But that's what scaling up is. You don't have to do more work. You don't have to find a better strategy. You have to do the same strategy you did to hit 28 points, 29 points, 30 points, 15 points, whatever the point is, and then you just increase how many contracts that you put behind the trade. Now you're increasing your risk, but you're also increasing the reward to the point where you can hit trades like $2,800, $5,700, $11,500 per trade. Again, it's the same trade. But if you do it with more contracts, that equals more money. Now let's get into the caveat behind that, right? So watch this. Both of these things, I'm telling you now, right now, both of these things are going to be true. But one of these things you want to hear and the other one you don't want to hear. But either way, I still need you to hear both of these things. So I'm going to talk about the thing you want to hear right here. Let's talk about that first, right? The thing you want to hear. This is the truth that you want to hear. I can learn a trading strategy and take the trade with one contract and make money. I can then take the same exact trade, same reason for taking the trade and everything, with 10 contracts, and then I make more money without having to physically do anything else. Meaning if I get one contract and I catch 10 points on ES, right, because it's $50 per point, times 10 points is $500. If I get 10 contracts, meaning I make how many? 50 times 10 contracts, that's $500 per point. And I catch 10 points on ES, that means I make $5,000, right? I catch the same 10 points with more contracts, I make more money. I will make more money, right? This will compound and you will grow your account, and then you can hit 100K before the end of the year. At this point, as you compound your account, you compound how much you can actually make per trade, right? That's the thing that you want to hear. Now the thing that you don't really want to hear, but you still got to hear it anyway, right? In order to get more contracts, you have to be willing to get more contracts. And I know that sounds repetitive and that sounds stupid, but let me cook real quick. To make $500 on that ES trade, you may risk $50 to $100 to make that. That's cool. Everyone is willing to make $5,000, but not everyone is willing to risk $500 to do it. You have to be willing to risk more in order to make more in this game, period. I don't care. Like, there are strategies. There, like literally, I have a thing called the Success Protocol that I do for myself. That was a combination of what I learned from the strat and just different things that I've learned with trading, right? Where I'm risking significantly less than how much I can make on a trade. However, you still have to be willing to risk more in order to scale your account. You have to. That is fundamentally true. You have to risk more, right? So that is the thing you don't want to hear, but this is the thing that you want to hear. You can make more. I'm telling you now. You can make more in this market, but you have to risk more in order to do it. You don't have to risk significantly more. You don't have to risk more than you make. You don't have to risk more than you make in order to do that, but you still have to risk more, right? So now, I'm going to give you this real quick, and then I'm going to end the video off right here, right? To make $100,000 in 2025, you must understand this paradox, right? So first, I'm going to talk about what a paradox is. So if you don't know what a paradox is, it's a seemingly absurd or like self-contradictory like statement. So like, for example, if I look at something and I say, in order to make money, I got to lose money. It's like, wait, what? Like, that sounds crazy at first, right? But watch this. That's a paradox, right? Watch this. This is the paradox of profits. So if you want to profit in any arena, this is what the paradox looks like, right? This is what the paradox looks like. Let me break this down. Sacrifice equals success. So let me break that down for you in terms of what that looks like. Financial sacrifice equals and will lead to financial success. Physical sacrifice, going to the gym, working out. You're literally tearing your muscles and then they regrow stronger, regrow bigger. That leads to physical success, etc. So any arena, you just insert the sacrifice, insert the success that you will get, right? Now, let me show you this real quick from Proverbs, right? This is a biblical Proverbs. Proverbs 11, 24 through 25. This is the ESV version, right? One gives freely, yet grows all the richer. Another withholds what he should give and only suffers want. So whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and whoever waters will, whoever waters will himself be watered. Meaning, if I water you, I will be watered back. If I sacrifice for you, I will get blessings back, right? I'm not telling you this to say like, all right, bet I want everybody to just start doing this, like to take advantage of this. I'm just telling you this is a principle, right? And if you understand the principle, you'll be able to use this in the market to make money. One gives freely, meaning you're sacrificing. Like when you give something, you're giving it away. That's a sacrifice. One gives freely. You're freely willing to sacrifice, yet grows all the richer. You get richer by sacrificing, by giving. Now you have to do that with the market. You have to do that with every arena in your life. But if you can do that with this market, you will get the exact same benefit, right? Profit, the reason, like most people are probably thinking like, why are rich people like rich, for example? Like why are evil people rich? Evil people can still apply biblical principles and build wealth. However, they going into the next life, you can still be evil now, but in the next life, you're still going to hell. So I'm not even going to talk about that. But we're just talking about money, right? Right now with trading and stuff like that, right? If you sacrifice, you will succeed. Period. That is a biblical principle. If you sacrifice, you will see success. That is the paradox of profits. If you want to apply that to the market. Now, this is my final message to you that's watching. If you want to make 100K in 2025, write this down. Please write this down. Stop everything you're doing. Write this down and take action on it. So I don't want you to just write this down and not do anything with it. Write this down and then take action on this after I tell you what this thing is. So let me uncover this real quick and then I'm going to read it. You will only ever be as profitable as you are willing to sacrifice. You will only be, I'm going to say that again. You will only ever be as profitable as your willingness to sacrifice. If you are not willing to sacrifice, you will not profit in this game. I promise you that. I promise you that. You have to be willing to sacrifice. Watch this. If you never take a trade, if you never sacrifice, if you never lose money, you can't make money. That's not how it works, right? Now, let me read this real quick because I wrote this for you guys. And I'm going to read this section by section. Most traders fail because of their unwillingness to sacrifice their money, time, effort, and ego in order to truly succeed in the market. And I'm here to tell you that what you reap is what you've sown. And you've already lost money and haven't gotten it back. It's only a loss if you haven't quit. Watch this. Because most people here, if you're watching this right now, you've probably lost money already in the market. And then you've lost money. You're here watching this video because you're trying to figure out, like, how can I make money too? How can I get back this money? How can I do that? Watch this. You didn't lose that money in vain. You might have thought, oh, I lost this money and now I got nothing back from it. Watch this. Every single loss you take was a lesson if you learn from it. So if you go back through all those losses, you will find success. You will find opportunities in those. Because watch this. Where you lost, someone made money. Watch this. When you lost, let's say you took a buy and then price stopped you out. That means that price went down and then you lost money. If someone took sells instead of taking buys where you bought and then they bought it back at that lower price, that means that they made money on a trade that you lost. There is an opportunity in every loss that you take, but you have to be willing to learn from it. That's why, watch this, the reason that sacrifice eventually leads to success. If you sacrifice and then you extract the wisdom and lessons from it, you will then be able to apply that and be able to be successful from it because you've learned from it, gained wisdom, and now you apply that wisdom to that same arena. Boom, that is how you succeed, right? So I'll say that again. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep trading, right? I don't want you guys to just get this information and then not practice and not trade. Keep trading in the market. Keep being in the market. Keep exposing yourself to risk, but also exposing yourself to profit. Keep exposing yourself to losing money, but also keep exposing yourself to opportunities, right? We don't lose. I'm going to go back to it real quick. We don't lose a trade until we exit. And when we lose, another setup will come. So I say to you, you will not lose this journey in your progress unless you stop walking this path. And when you lose, I'm here to tell you that another opportunity in the market will come. You just got to be willing to take it. Sacrifice time now. Sacrifice money now in a controlled way. Do not gamble. Please don't gamble. Back to the camera. Don't gamble the money away. I'm telling you that you have to risk more, but I'm not telling you to gamble the money away. I'm still telling you to be strategic about it. Your risk, watch this, write this down. Your risk is tied to how much you financially can lose and how much you are emotionally able to lose that money. So for example, let's say somebody is trading with $10,000, right? But they have already hit 7 figures. They already have 7 figures worth of money, right, already, and they just put a little $10,000 in that thing, right, in their account. They literally do, if they mentally don't care about that money, they have the ability to risk more on that account. They have the ability to risk $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 on that account, $1,000 on that account, because they don't care as much about the money. They're emotionally detached from the money to the point where they can take these trades without it affecting them negatively, because they've already built wealth in these other arenas and stuff like that, so they don't care, right? Versus the person that puts their last $1,000, their last $5,000, their last $10,000 in that account. Now they have to treat it differently. Emotionally, they're not willing to risk $1,000 immediately, $2,000 immediately, because that's all they have. So they're going to start out risking a few $100s. And then as they build their account up to 25, 10K, 20K, 30K, then they'll start risking more. Then they'll start risking 1,000. Then they'll start risking 2,000, because they built up a big enough cushion. So everybody is different. But you have to look at how much can I actually lose on this account and how much am I emotionally able to lose. And once you combine those, you'll know what your risk is actually supposed to be when you trade, right? So now back to the thing real quick. So, and this is the last thing, and you will see success later. This is a biblical principle. I'm not here to tell you when you will succeed. The same way a seed doesn't give you an exact timeline on when it will grow and bear fruit. All that I can say is all I can tell you is what I know, right? If you sacrifice water, sunlight, and time, the seed will grow. So sacrifice time to learn how to trade. Sacrifice your ego towards making money fast. Sacrifice your ego towards trying to figure this out soon. Sacrifice your ego on, I got to make money by tomorrow, or I got to make money in a few months. But you're willing to go 4 years in college, not make any money at that point, and then go work a job and then still make less than you could have made if you were doing this. Sacrifice your ego. Sacrifice what you want. Sacrifice what you want, right? Sacrifice time to learn how to trade. Sacrifice your ego towards making money fast. And be willing to gradually lose money as you make more. And you will grow and bear fruit. I'm telling you that now. If I risk $100 to make $1,000, then I can also risk $1,000 to make $10,000. And I can also risk $10,000 to make $100,000. The difference is, am I willing to actually risk that money in order to do it? Your willingness to risk money, your willingness to sacrifice will dictate your success. In the video that I made previously, for everybody that's going into 2025 that wants to trade, the last thing I told you guys was you need to learn how to surrender. You need to learn how to sacrifice in order to succeed. You have to give up some of these things. The same way I told you to give up these old habits from 2024 in order to go into 2025. You have to also sacrifice time. You have to sacrifice money. You have to sacrifice energy. You have to sacrifice your ego in order to hit this goal. But I got to ask you, is the goal worth achieving? And if it is worth achieving, then sacrifice the short term and on the altar of the long term. Sacrifice a little bit of money now for a lot of money later. Sacrifice that in order to build this skill and learn how to do this in the market, right? So also, if you guys want to learn how to trade futures for free, I'm also putting together a course so you guys can learn how to do it, and it's free, by the way. I'm not going to charge you anything or get anything from you, none of that. Like, it's literally a free course, right? So I'm creating this course that teaches you how to trade futures and also my trading strategy called The Strat, right? So I'm going to be adding more videos gradually to the deck. That way, basically, like, and deck this thing out. That's what I meant. Deck this thing out. That way you literally don't have to pay anyone to learn how to trade futures, how to trade the strat, how to trade the strategy, and then also how to make money in the market, right? I don't want to charge you guys for money that you haven't made. Make the money first. Take the money from your job, put it in your account, go through this course that I'm creating and building out right now and adding stuff to, and then you'll learn how to trade futures. I'll literally teach you everything. Matter of fact, I'll show you the thing now. I'm still building it out, so bear with me, but a few people are already in it right now. But I'm going to teach you guys my trading strategy. I'm going to teach you guys, I'm going to give you guys free trading materials and stuff like that, and also free access to future courses added as well, right? So I'm going to show you guys actually what that looks like to preview it as a visitor for the Strat course real quick. Let me show you this real quick. So this is what I already have so far for the Strat course. I'm going to be updating this as well. So you get access to all of this, my cheat sheets and stuff like that as well, right? The goal for this is I want to teach you guys how to trade without having to necessarily give money to anybody now. And I still have different paid things as well, but those are for people that are already trading or they want more personal access to me, right? But going into 2025, I don't want to gatekeep information. I want to gatekeep access to me in terms of my time. But I'm still going to be willing to give you this information and give you the steps and give you the tools and give you the resources and give you the templates and everything else. I'm literally giving you guys my trading templates, how I set up my TradeAvent, how I set up all my platforms and everything else, and showing you how to do this, right? Because once you learn my strategy and you know how to buy and sell in the market, all you now have to do is practice and just get the reps in. As you get the reps in, you will start to make money, right? And I'm also going to be linking, I don't mean to say this, but dang it. I'm also going to be giving a part of this course. You're also going to get access to certain mentorship classes that I did in 2024 that talked about getting started with futures, that also talked about trading the strat, that talked about these different things with my strategy, right? Now, there's certain things I just can't give in terms of with the mentorship and stuff like that, but I will give the stuff pertaining to the strategy and how to make money with it, right? Those videos, I'll be also adding these to there as well. So again, if this video was helpful for you guys, just leave a like. Drop a comment in the comment section if you have a question about anything going into 2025, about trading, about anything. If you have any questions, drop it below. But I will link the thing down below so you guys can check out the free course. Again, get the free information. Don't pay anybody for money. Don't even pay me before you go through this free thing first. Implement this 3 thing first. Make money first. Then, if you want personal access to me, or you want more information, or you want a community or something like that, then you can go and do that. But you don't need that to trade. I want to debunk that now. You don't need it to trade. You don't need that. You just need the information. You need to put in the work. You need to sacrifice your time. You don't need to sacrifice money to me. You need to sacrifice all that money towards the market. Sacrifice $50 or money and stuff like that on taking trades. Don't sacrifice that to me. Don't sacrifice that to any other mentor until you make money first, right? So that's my mission going into 2025. Just give you guys the information and tools that you need to succeed. And again, if you have any questions, hit me up. Let's get it. Bow. All right. How do I stop this thing? Right here. Boom. Peace out, y'all.